Good morning, Manish Chakravarti.
Swamiji, pranam.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for your email. I
Ba-
so much appreciate it.
ভালো থাকুন।
আমি সবসময় জয়েন করতে পারি না আপনার সার্ভিস, তো যখন
That's
সুযোগ পাই আমি
okay.
জয়েন করি।
ইউটিউবে পেয়ে যাবেন কখনো কখনো।
আচ্ছা, আপনারা কেমন আছেন? ওখানে খুব গরম পড়েছে শুনলাম।
খুব গরম, খুব গরম। আমরা রোস্টেড।
You have to stay inside and stay cool.
Good morning, Alexandra. Good morning, Barbara Dalton.
Good morning, Swamiji.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And
Great.
yourself?
Good.
And good? Good.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Let us start. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is Sri Krishna on himself. Sri Krishna is one of the greatest spiritual personality of India, and we can say of the world also. He was born, according to the scholars, about 3,000 years before Jesus Christ. He has left a message. Message means his discourse, which is known as Bhagavad Gita, which is considered to be a sort of handbook of spirituality. The circumstances in which it was delivered is really not spiritual as such from our point of view, but definitely from the point of view of the circumstances or situation, it was very pertinent. And that discourse is universally accepted for our spiritual practices, spiritual growth, spiritual knowledge. So in that way, this Bhagavad Gita, which means the discourse given by Lord, has occupied a very important place in the spiritual field. Sri Krishna, as we know a little bit of background, those who do not know or those who are just to refresh our memory, was born in a prison, and then his father actually took him to a friend's house, and where he grew up as a child, and they were cowherds. That means they maintained cow, and there are stories about his juvenile plays with the cowherd boys and girls. Then ultimately, for some reasons, they had to migrate from the central part of India, which is known as Mathura, to the western part of India, which is known as Dwarka. And there he lived, and occasionally he used to come to Delhi. That means the place where his friends and relatives and others used to live, for counseling, to help them whenever it was required. And in that way, he kept contact with them. And ultimately, he passed away, not exactly in Dwarka, but on the west coast of India, which is known as Prabhas, and left his body at the age of around 120. He lived about 120 or 25 years. But During his lifetime, the most important part is the establishment of the religion, righteousness, and at that time India was really in a very poor condition from the point of view of administration, and the kings were not good. So ultimately, he established the good persons to to rule India, and then after some time, after quite a considerable time, actually he lived, and then he passed on. And this Bhagavad Gita is a gem of spirituality. It has got many things. Many things means any question about spirituality, we can get answer from it. That means what is God, how, and what is the nature of God, and who are we, what is our relationship with God. And those who want to do spiritual, want to realize spiritual, God, realize God or realize the true self, how to do that, all those things we can really find by studying Bhagavad Gita. So it has become very universal literature, spiritual literature nowadays. Of course, it is written in Sanskrit, composed by Vedavyasa as a part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the history book of that time when Lord Krishna lived. And there are two families who actually were at war, and that is the story of the Mahabharata. It is a very lengthy book and written by Vedavyasa. So Krishna's part in the in that in the historic part is the restoration of the kingdom and restoration of what is called the peace and tranquility for the people. As we know, in India or in Hinduism, God incarnates as a human being. That means time to time we see persons are born whom actually we can really think God himself, because we have some notions about God. We can think of God in different ways, full of power, full of compassion, full of knowledge, all those things are there. But they are imagination. But when such persons are born, we see all the qualifications of God that we can imagine. These people actually possess those things. Probably they possess more than we can imagine. Sometimes it happens like that. So that is why Swami Vivekananda has said that it is better to worship these incarnations of God than other than in these incarnations of God, living our God of our imagination. So that is very true, because they lived in a concrete life like ourselves. That means they took the human form. And whatever we imagine, there is no reality about that. So it is always good to think of these spiritual personalities for or look to these spiritual personalities for our spiritual growth, spiritual life, or spiritual realization. In that way, time to time, we have in India the Rama, Krishna, Buddha, then other Sri Chaitanya, then in our time, Sri Ramakrishna. They are role models, and they are considered by scholars and spiritual personalities to be incarnations of God. It is not that they are different personalities. They themselves have told, that means Lord Krishna himself has said that God incarnates as a human being time to time. It is not that different gods are incarnating, but same entity incarnates as a human being, so that according to circumstances they are different. Their teachings may be a little bit different, but they definitely do not contradict each other. That is also very true. So in the context of Sri Krishna's life, we see that this occasion of Kurukshetra war, which was fought between the families, that means two families actually fought, and all the then kings or princes and all the warriors actually took sides in either of them. So in that way, it was a what is called a sort of world war of that time. World war in a sense, that means in world war we see nowadays, that means different countries take part in one side or other. In that way, world wars that we have experienced, two world wars. So in those days we can say, though it did not come up from outside India, that means the kings and others did not come from outside India, but all the kings and princes at that time, India was divided into many, many princely states, independent states. So they sided, and in that way they actually fought. And in Bhagavad Gita, we see that Lord Krishna did not take part himself and did not take to arms, because he knew that both of them are really equal from his point of view. He cannot really take side with any with any party. So in that way, he gave the opportunity, that means just to reconcile. He said that, well, I shall give my soldiers, that means some battalions or some, whatever maybe the quantity of, I think 100,000 soldiers actually he gave to the opposite party. And in another party, actually, he just became a charioteer of the general, that means Arjuna. So in that way, he reconciled, and it was really accepted by both of them. But since it was a conflict between the family feud, you can say in one sense, so the situation was really such that the righteous group, according to the result, or according to Lord Krishna's what is called on view, righteous group actually was a little bit weaker from the point of strength of army, and also the general actually was really very much nervous. So in that way, he thought that it is not really appropriate there is evident, he thought probably I shall die, or I shall get defeated. That may be one of the reasons. And at the same time, he also thought that all the enemy group, the whole enemy group are really known persons and relatives and all those things. It will be very, it will be unjust to kill them. In that way, he actually wanted to quit the war. So, but Lord Krishna knew that without this war, the righteousness or the peace and tranquility of the country will not be established. So to encourage means to make the general understood. That means like to make Arjuna make him understood that it is important for him to wage the war. He gave this discourse. That means Bhagavad Gita, which has come out from this Mahabharata and this discourse. If you read Bhagavad Gita, it will probably, those who know Sanskrit, it will not take much time. That means within few hours, 2 hours, something like that, it can be recited. There is no, it is not a very long discourse. And of course, later on we see that it was a part of great book Mahabharata, but later on it was separated out. That means it was taken out of the Mahabharata because of its importance. Importance means the discourse was really by itself was unique. So that was done by Shankaracharya, a great reformer of Hinduism. And then he wrote a commentary also. Commentary means, you know, with time, the language and meaning and all those things actually change. So to make the philosophical portion, other than the descriptive portion, it was necessary to reinterpret or explain those things for common people. So in that way, commentaries are made by different scholars according to their own understanding. So there are many commentaries of Bhagavad Gita after Shankaracharya. Before Shankaracharya also, there was commentary, but they are not available. But after Shankaracharya, there are many, many commentaries that has come out according to the understanding of the different scholars about the discourse that was given by Lord Krishna. So in that way, this book is very valuable, and even not only the Indian scholars nowadays, it is available in many other languages other than Indian languages. It has been translated into other world languages also. It was first translated into English by, as far as I remember, Wilkinson or Wilson, H. Wilson, I think. So he actually first translated it into English. And in that way, since then, it has been retranslated in different languages. Or again, it has been translated by other English scholars also directly from Sanskrit. So naturally, there is a lot of scope of reflection on this book, because the teachings are spiritual in nature, philosophical in nature. So definitely, they are very thoughtful, and there is a lot of scope for commentary. So in that way, my point is this: the importance of the book is really unique. And in the course of his delivering this teaching to Arjuna, at one point, Lord Krishna, at the request of Arjuna, one was revealing himself. Who is he? That means, what is his true nature? It is very difficult when God takes human form. We really see as a human being. There is no doubt about that. And all the activities that he does actually are like human beings. So how actually we can identify, or we can recognize, until and unless he reveals himself? That is the point. If he says, or somehow he can impress upon us that he is God himself, then we are really convinced. Otherwise, for ordinary persons, a person in human form, how I can actually figure out that he is God? So in that spirit, Arjuna had asked that, will you please tell me that who you are really, what is your true nature? So Lord Krishna, of course, he was giving the discourse, continuing the discourse, appropriate discourse, which was important at the time of this initiation of the war. But naturally, there is a scope for Arjuna to ask questions, and he asked that, please reveal to me your true nature. So those who know, read Bhagavad Gita, know that Lord Krishna revealed in two ways. Two ways means, that means he gave a discourse, and that as a part of his discourse, he described his true nature. And not only that, later on, he actually revealed. Revealed means showed his. That means he physically, Arjuna could see what he had described in the form of Sri Krishna. So that is the next part of the after that giving this discourse. But today actually I would like to talk about the what is known as Vibhuti Yoga. That means the chapter where actually Lord Krishna reveals himself from the point of view of description. That means in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. Of course, I do not know whether it is really originally the chapters were made, but as we find today, the discourse is divided into 18 chapters, and in the 10th chapter, which is known as Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti Yoga means manifestation. There are several translations. One translation is manifestation of divine glories. So in that way, actually, he has described himself. So he says in the Bhagavad Gita, at the beginning of this chapter, he's saying that, well, that Almighty, Arjuna has been addressed in different ways. He's saying, here again, Almighty armed one, that means Arjuna, my words on the supreme truth. Desirous of your good, I want to declare it to you who are so beloved to me. That means he was so pleased with Arjuna that he said that I shall tell you who am I. That means I shall describe my true nature. So in the course of, then he is saying, neither the host of goods of Maharshis, great sages, know my origin, for I am myself the origin of all those gods and great sages. So these are very, if you look at it from the individual point of view as a human being, these are very tall talks. That means how actually one can claim without being a very, what is called, proud person, maybe a little bit eccentric, that you can say that neither the Maharshis, the great sages, do not know my origin, and also because there is a limitation, as we can understand. But as a human being, other human being must be knowing him. But true nature of Lord Krishna is saying, they also, those who have done a lot of spiritual practice, study scriptures, they also does not know my true nature. But I am very happy with you. That is why I am telling you, he told Arjuna. So then again he is saying, he who knows me as the beginningless, the unborn, and the master of the worlds, he among mortals becomes undiluted, and he is freed from all sins. So if somebody can know my true nature, he is saying, what is the benefit? That means what will be the benefit of knowing my true nature? Who am I? So he is saying that he will remain among the mortals undiluted. That means he will not be swayed by the worldly things. That his, what is called, his knowledge will be fixed on God. And definitely that benefit of knowing God is there. That means we get liberation. So not only that, he will be freed from all sins. That means anything that he has done which are wrong, detrimental to spiritual life, those things also will not bother him. That means they will also be taken care of. So in that way, he is revealing himself. And in scriptures, actually, you see that there is a description of ultimate reality, Brahman, as we call it. In our Upanishads, ultimate reality is Brahman. That means everything is Brahman. And in Upanishads, we see that we are encouraged. Upanishads are meant for realization. That means the teachings that have been given are just first to comprehend. That means just listening, just to comprehend, and then actually try to realize that what has been said. What they have said, they are very simple. That means ultimate reality is there, and we ourselves are also there. That means human beings or all beings are there. But ultimate being actually manifests within ourselves as a spark of divinity. That means which is known as Atman. So this equation means this Brahman is equal to Atman. That is the realization that needs to be done. And if somebody knows that or realizes that, then the purpose of the life is served. That is in what is called, in a very nutshell, the message of the Upanishads. But it is a long, what is called, it takes long time and good understanding and best of our efforts. And if we are lucky, we shall be able to know that. But Lord Krishna is saying that I am that ultimate reality. So this is a very unique position. That means a person, if he knows that he is Atman, if he understands his true self, then actually it is what is called quite all right. That means it is enough for him from the point of a spiritual point of, from the point of view of spirituality. That means I am not body, I am not mind. That means we are always thinking ourselves as body and mind, but I am really Atman. It is logically we may think, by our power of discrimination, we can think that, well, that may be true. But realization is the most important part. That means you have to, when we think that we are body, in the same way, you have to think, not only think that we have to know that we are not body and mind, but we are Atman. That is the goal, and for that spiritual practices are necessary. But Krishna's point of view is that I am Brahman, not this just individual soul, Atman. So that is the uniqueness, and from that point of view, actually, he has given this discourse. And it is very difficult how the ultimate reality actually can become human being. But for Krishna, who is really ultimate reality and has taken human form, see, he's trying to make Arjuna understood how actually this can happen and how actually this can be done. So he's saying, that in the Sanskrit he is saying buddhir gnanam asang moha shama sattam damah shama sukham bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushti tapodanam yasa bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithak vidha. That means intelligence, knowledge, sanity, patience, truth, sense control. These are the qualifications that human beings possess. That means as a human being, we know what is intelligence, what is knowledge, what is sanity. All those concepts are there, and it inheres our intelligence, mind. Then patience, truth, sense control, mind control, pleasure, pain, birth, death, fear, and also fearlessness, non-injury, same-sightedness, contentment, austerity. This is a long chart, but still it is worth remembering. Benevolence, fame, and obliquity. All these diverse modes of the mind, seen in all beings, proceed from me alone, their ultimate sanctioner. That means these origin of these things are myself. That means I actually have given to, say, now billions of persons are living, probably billions of persons have died, and billion persons will be born. So all those things, the enormous amount of what is called all these things are really supplied by him. So this is the unique thing that he is saying. That means all these good qualities, or the qualities in general. It is not, some of them are not really good also, that he has described. But all the things, all the good, all the qualities that human mind or human beings can inherit, he is the origin. That means he supplies them. So how actually it happens? Happens in this way that Lord Krishna will tell that, well, these manifestations are really, they are inside the human beings. And as a ultimate reality, that means he is all in all, Brahman is all in all. So naturally he has the, you can say, storehouse of all those things, you can say. But they are not, they may not maybe in a what is called individualized way. They are all together, but according to the circumstances, they are really they are manifesting in human beings. So that is why he's saying, and in on our earth during the time of during the time of Sri Krishna, we see that people knew that there are many great personalities, great persons, and we also think of their greatness, how all those things have come. So Lord Krishna is describing that all those things actually were because of me that those things have come. So he's saying again, the seven great sages, beginning with Morichi. Morichi is considered to be one of the greatest of sages, according to our Puranas. As also the four earlier ones, like Shanaka. Shanaka was the what is called Lord Brahma's, as we know, according to Indian scriptures, that he was the firstborn children of Sanaka Sanatana, four children, four sons of Brahma, from which actually the progeny has proceeded. That means we are really belong to the progeny of Sanaka Sanatana. In that way we see. That means from Brahma actually it has come. And the rest of the Manus likewise are my emanations, being projections of my thought. All this race of men is the progeny. So in that way he is saying that ultimately who all the existing personalities are really coming from me. So you see, by identifying himself with the ultimate reality, he is speaking these things. So it is a very unique position. That means we do not see in the lives of others that they have been able to say in this way. In case of Rama, probably he might have said to Lakshmana sometime, but in case of Buddha, he never said that. Buddha said that I am just like you. That means you are like ordinary person. He never actually elevated himself in the position of an incarnation of God. He never declared that. What to say about incarnation, he never said anything about God also. But he is considered to be incarnation of God according to his spiritual stature. And that was found out or given by Shankaracharya, because he compares with Rama and Krishna. That is why he is considered to be an incarnation of God. So though he did not reveal, though Lord Buddha did not reveal that he is an incarnation, that means he is ultimate reality in human form, but his activities and teachings and all those things actually lead to that conclusion. So in case of others also, you can see Sri Chaitanya or Sri Ramakrishna, they also never said that I am the, what is called, I am ultimate reality has taken human form. Ramakrishna very stillily told Swami Vivekananda once that, well, who were Rama and Krishna in ancient times, I am that. That also very humbly, in a very secret way he told. But all his activities that we see, all the teachings that we see actually conform to the teachings of the great incarnation. So in that way, he is considered to be an incarnation of God. That is the point. That means Lord Krishna, of course, this discourse, though we see that it was penned down, but it was told to Arjuna only because he was the dearest of the dear disciple. Just the way Sri Ramakrishna revealed to Swami Vivekananda, his true self, in that way he actually revealed himself. Of course, there were others later on we see, they had the also opportunity of knowing him from his lips. That is the point. Out of devotion, one can think there is no doubt about that, and that is very good also. Otherwise, there is no way that we can really get spiritual benefit. But getting the first-hand admission, if you call it, that means he is admitting to an ordinary devotee or maybe a very lucky devotee, his true nature is unique. That is the point. Then he says, he who knows the truth about this manifestation of my divine majesties and about my power gets united with me in steady and unfaltering communion. There is no doubt about this. So to know about this nature, out of devotion, we can just speak about his good qualities and great nature, but who can realize this true nature, then actually their purpose of life will be served. That means they will come to me. So he is saying, I am the source of all things. From me all these go forth. Knowing thus the wise one worship me, being filled with ecstatic devotional sentiment. So by knowing that everything is coming from me, that means just thinking that from Lord Krishna everything has come, instead of imagining that from ultimate reality Brahman actually everything has come. It will be the same thing. That's the point. And it is easier for us to think that from a what is called an entity that which we can really conceive of. Brahman is beyond conception. It is a realizable thing. But we can imagine a person, and from a person actually if it is coming from a thing, that is as good as thinking that it is coming from Brahman. Lord Krishna is saying, that is the point. So these are the great advantage that they have left for us. That means our exercise of imagination can be need not be too strenuous. With their minds engrossed and their vital energies deeply involved in me, they are ever contented and delighted by the mutually conversing about me and enlightening each other thereby. That is the way, just thinking of me, talking about me, and amongst themselves, actually, that is a part of the spiritual practice. That is really, Lord Krishna is saying that will be helpful for spiritual growth. To those who serve me with delight and are ever steadfast in spiritual communion, I bestow intuitive understanding by means of which they come to me. So in that way, those who are always, we can say, meditating on him, talking about me, actually I give, that means I bestow them intuitive power. Power means, that means to know my true self. It requires special power or special knowledge to know God as God. That is the point. All the time we are thinking of God as a person with great qualities. That is good, that is necessary. But then actually realization is a different thing. Ultimately, we are after several verses, he is saying that now actually I am giving you Vistarana. Vistarana means, that means in detail I am telling you who am I. And that actually is very helpful for us, because instead of if we really meditate on these objects that he is saying, that I am really in them. He will give a long list of entities, and by thinking of them, actually, it will be as good as thinking of me. That is also another advantage that he has given. Thinking of Lord Krishna you have not seen. So you have also imagined a picture. Probably you have seen a photograph, a painting or printed thing which has been done by an artist, or some sculpture that has been done by an artist. In that way, we think of Lord Krishna, but we do not know exactly what was he. So naturally, we would like to, if there are some alternative objects where we can really apply our imagination, and if it is really as good as thinking of him, then it is a good substitute. That's the point. So he is saying, Hantate kathai Swami Dibba Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanatah Kurusreshto Nastanta Vistarasame. Oh, behold, I shall declare unto you what my divine self manifestations are, but I shall mention only the chief of them, for there is no end of their details. That means selectively he is giving the list. That is the point. He is telling to Arjuna that, well, the places or persons or entities where actually I exist most, I am giving in detail description. So he is saying, I am the self residing in the heart of every being. I am their being, their lifespan, and their end. That means, Ahamatma Gurakesha Sarva Bhuta Shayasthita Aham Adishcha Madhascha Madhancha Bhutanamanta Evacha. So these are the famous what is called verses that he has said that, well, I am the residing in the heart of everybody. So I am Atman. So in that way, he is saying, we know the consciousness that is residing in everybody. That is the part of nearest part that we can really palpably feel the existence of Atman. Of course, this consciousness itself, we cannot say until we realize what is the true nature of Atman. But definitely that is the nearest that we can palpably feel the existence of Atman. So he's saying, I am Atman in everybody. So in that way, there is an existence of myself. So when you think the self-realization, suppose I'm meditating on my true self, that means I'm meditating in my heart, where it is said that Atman is residing. Residing means this consciousness actually is palpable. So heart is palpitating, and naturally we do not know, actually cannot see our own heart, but we can imagine because the sound is coming or some sort of feelings are coming. So in that way thinking, so that is the God is existing. That means Lord Krishna is saying, I am there. So in that way, if we realize that, focus our mind there, we shall be able to see him. That is the point. So I am the self residing in the heart of every being. I am their beginning, their lifespan, and their end. That means as soon as I are born, actually, of course, before that, I believe the heart actually palpitates. And then while we live, definitely it is palpitating. And ultimately, when we die, actually it leaves. That is the point. So all along, this consciousness that is within ourselves is me. That is Atman. So that is, now we can see that from imagining the ultimate reality is Brahman or even Lord Krishna, we can think of this Atman residing within ourselves. That will be as good as the thinking of Lord Krishna and ultimate reality. Then actually he's saying, of the 12 Adityas, I am Vishnu. Among the luminaries, I am the radiant sun. Among the 7 Marutis, I am the Marichi. And of the Nakshatras, I am the moon. So these are the objects which we are familiar with. Of course, the sages and all those things, those who know about the scriptures, they will be able to figure out. But definitely, sun, that means 12 Adityas, 12 suns there. So one of them is our sun. And I am Vishnu. Vishnu, of course, is ultimate array. It is first one manifestation is Vishnu. Among the luminaries, I am the radiant sun. Sun is, we are familiar with sun, we are familiar with moon. So they can be object of concentration because Lord Krishna is saying in the spirit of identifying himself with ultimate reality, that I am sun. That means the physical sun, that means which actually radiating in the sky. you can think of him. And if you think, if a concentration actually gets perfected, actually you will realize me that he's saying. The objects means, that means the objects of concentration, meditation. And these objects, as I am telling, that if the object is really well known to us and we are familiar with and we are comfortable with, so naturally it will be very easy for us instead of thinking of some bizarre type of images which actually we cannot reconcile with. It cannot happen. 12 hands or 10 hands or 1,000 hands and all those things, and a person with that type of images is very difficult for ordinary person to imagine. So these objects, simple objects, actually can think, and they can become object of meditation, and we can perfect our concentration on them. And it is as good as self-realization, or self-realization will come. That is the Lord Krishna is saying, I am this sun, I am this moon. Then continuing, he is saying, Vedanang samavedosmi, Devanam asmi vasava, Indriyanang manaschasmi, Bhutanam asmi chetana. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Samaveda is one of the Vedas. Actually, this is a book, and those are scholarly, probably for them it is easy to concentrate on the teachings of the Vedas, and in that way it is an object of meditation. Among the Devas, I am Indra. So according to your Puranas, that means the mythology, Indra is the king of Devas. Devas are what is called beings who are really what is called rulers of different regions of the cosmos, you can say. Then of the senses also, we are familiar with our own senses. Suppose this taste is a sense, so we can know what is sense. So naturally, he is saying that I am really manifest in our senses, and also I am the mind. Our mind, we know, is there, and he's saying I am manifesting within yourself as your mind, and living beings. And I am the intelligence. Mind has another form, intelligence, buddhi as it is called. So in that form also I am existing. So in that way he is giving continuing his list. And the point is this, in this list of his manifestation, we see, I have not exactly counted, but you'll find at least 50 or 60, maybe if we just expand them, like Aditya, there are 12 Adityas, so naturally another 12. So in that way, the list will be quite comprehensive. This point is this, to Arjuna, he is saying that I am all those things. So in that way, his greatness or his vastness and all those things he is really describing. But for us who are actually learning from the what is called the scriptures, if he is all those things, so naturally he is manifesting in them. So they become the object of our worship. And in that way, actually, we can get the benefit of spirituality. Spirituality means, again, that by concentrating on them or worshipping them or associating with them. I like probably some, what is called, some sage that has been described in the Purana. And if he's saying, Narada, I am Narada, I am manifest in Narada. So naturally, by associating, thinking of him, actually, I can get what is called spiritual benefit. So the point is that in this way, we see Lord Krishna has described all his manifestations to Arjuna. And in our case, actually, we have to see how actually we can use this. Now coming to another point, that means I have another book that I have brought today, which is not related to Lord Krishna, but it is also very ancient book. Probably it existed during the time of Lord Krishna also. That means this is from the Markandeya Purana. Markandeya Purana is a book where one sage, Markandeya, describes the sport of Divine Mother. Mother means, that means the universal energy, as it is called. That means we know there are different energies that are working. We cannot see because our senses are not really up to the perception of those things. But their existence we can feel. Suppose gravity is there. Gravity, we know, if we, that means anything which weighs, we know, we can feel it. So how actually it is happening? That there is some power actually that is acting on our hand, or we can feel its existence, but we cannot see it. Gravity cannot be seen. That is the point. In that way, there are many invisible things that are there. Taste we can taste, but we cannot see that power which is manifesting as taste. So in that way, all the invisible powers that are there are coming from one entity, that is Shakti, as it is called. It is given the feminine, what is called, structure. That means Shakti is feminine. So in that way, it is a manifestation of Shakti. So it has been described in this Markandeya Purana. There is a portion which is known as Sri Sri Chandi or Devi Mahatma. That means different sports of Divine Mother. That means this power, that means ultimate power, had manifested as human being, you can say, or superhuman being, you can say. The way Lord Krishna is manifested as a human being, the ultimate reality. In the same way, this, what is called the ultimate power, if you call it, manifested as divine feminine in form. So that has been described in many places, but in this book, Devi Mahatma, it is very well known and it is very popular also. So there are occasions, the story is like this, there are occasions when actually before the incarnation's advent, that means I say sometimes that there are two series. One series are the incarnations coming, that is a later series, and before that actually this Divine Mother used to come to restore the balance of this universe. So in that way, they are previous to them, because they also, that means incarnations of God also worship them in their own way that we see. So in that way, you can surmise that they were earlier, advents were earlier. So in that way, we see there is an occasion when the gods or the universe was pestered by some demonical entities. Shumbhani Shumbha, as it is called, they're very powerful entities, and they started pestering the whole world. And these things actually happened because they themselves, these demons, as devils, if you call, they were also great spiritual persons. That means but they were really materialistic. That means they wanted something for their own benefit. Probably they wanted the suzerainty of the whole universe or world or certain place or certain types of what is called benefit that wanted. Nobody will be able to kill me. All those things they used to. For those actually they did spiritual practices, and gods and goddesses were happy and they bestowed those powers. But when they got the power, then became really despots. That is in general, that is the notion of these situations. So at one time, actually, two demons become very aggressive and very destructive, and then gods and goddesses actually, and what to say about human beings, they are very much upset. They could not really subdue them. So they naturally ultimately worship Divine Mother. So in that worship, actually, we see that they have eulogized. That means they have, in their prayer, actually, they added means they remember the different qualities of the Divine Mother. And they have certain similarities with this, what is called, what Lord Krishna said at the beginning, that I am this, I am this, I am this. And in the same way, actually, in this book also we see that in these prayers it has been mentioned. So what are those that let me sum up them in the prayer. The description is like this. So he's saying, Ya Devi Sarvad Bhuteshu Vishnu Mayati Shabdita Namastasya 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 Namo Namo. Then this is a prayer, so naturally they are bowing down, and you are this is the you are, oh great divine Mother, you are existing in all being in such and such form, in such and such divine qualities. What are they? Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Chetanetva Vidhiyate. That means salutations again and again to Divine Being who abides in all beings as consciousness. That means you are existing in all beings as consciousness. So Lord Krishna also is saying that I am existing in all being like this. So in that way, we see that there is certain similarities between this type of conception. That means Divine Mother is existing in every body in this form. Then, of course, it has been said that she is existing as an intelligence. Then uh, it has been said that in all beings, I also residing in everybody's sleep. So Lord Krishna did not give an exhaustive list, that means A to Z, but as he has said that I have given some important qualities that you will be able to understand. So in the same way, actually, these qualities have been described by these, what is called, these prayerful gods about the Divine Mother. That means the Shakti that is existing. So there is certain similarity. That is the point that I am trying to tell you. So sleep also. God is existing within ourselves as sleep. Now Divine Mother, Goddess, we can say Divine Mother is existing within ourselves as sleep. Sleep is universal. You know, there is no being actually who does not sleep. And sleep is important in a sense that means in sleep actually we really go nearest to our true nature. Our nearest true nature means the mind actually gets concentrated on the consciousness. And ultimately, if the consciousness, if we can do that consciously, actually, that will be self-realization. Otherwise, we usually go back to our consciousness, and it is darkness. That means we are not conscious about it. So that is the point. So sleep is also universal, and God is existing within ourselves as sleep. Then he is saying, as a form of what is called power. Power, we have different types of energies. Human beings have power, animals have power, different animals have got different powers. So in that, and also power varies from person to person and animal to animal, other subhuman beings. So that is also the manifestation of God. That is the point. Physical power, that means strength, if you call it, that is also there. Then, of course, they are saying that you are abiding, oh Devi, you are abiding in all beings in the form of thirst. Thirst means, we need to drink water, liquid. So that is also thirst. So all beings actually becomes thirsty. They need to drink water. So in that way, the universality of these palpable, that means it is a day-to-day thing that we are always perceiving, but it is the representation of God that is being really pointed out. That is very important for us. Otherwise, if we feel thirsty, we'll feel that, well, probably it is a distraction for me. That is very true, distraction. So naturally, if you're meditating and feeling thirsty, and now you need to drink water, so it will be what is called, you will lose some time also. So, but if you can think that this thirst is God-given, that means is existing in it, then it will be, we can really respectfully accept it. So in that way, his manifestation will be palpable to us. So in that way, we see that all the list that has been, or the qualifications that has been described in this Devi Mahatma Chandi are the manifestation of God, and they are palpable to us, and we can think of them as the representative of God. The way we are thinking, we can think of Lord Krishna's presence in different objects. So in that way, this is the one way of worshiping God that we see. Instead of thinking of God as with form, these qualifications or these powers or these objects that are very common to us, we can think that God is really existing in them, and they can become easy. They are easy to conceive, and we can think of His presence there, and that will be, Lord Krishna has assured that will be as good as worshipping me. So in that way, we see that in our spiritual field, we from in our day-to-day, we are having many things which are really can become object of our spiritual manifestation. That means spiritual concentration. And in that way, actually, they are very important to us. And later on, we see that it has been advised by Lord Krishna also in other books that we see, especially in Bhagavatam, that he has said this: these manifestations can be deified. Deified means, suppose that he has said that was Vrikshanam, what is called a Sattva. That means I am the tree, which is a banyan tree. So the banyan tree actually is worship. That means in many places we will see that people are worshipping by putting water or putting flower, and also what is called uttering what is mantras. They are really worshipping. So in that way, objects of worship becomes very near to us. And that in that way, actually, God with form, in different forms, actually, is really existing within ourselves. It is a matter of realization, of course. So there is one, if you read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you see that once Sri Ramakrishna chided Narendranath, because Narendranath, Sri Ramakrishna did not know Narendranath as Swami Vivekananda, because after his passing away, he took that name. So he said that, well, you want to be immersed in what is called samadhi. So the question was that Sri Ramakrishna said that, well, suppose there is a vessel of honey. So, and you have become a bee, and how actually you drink that honey? So he said that I shall, what is called, just sit on the edge of that vessel and just sip a little bit, and in that way, I shall drink the honey. Then he said, no, no, that is not the way. This honey is the, what is called, ultimate reality. If you just drown itself into it, that means you will not die. That means you will become immortal. So this also, he said that there is another step in meditation, that not only enjoying the, what is called the, if you call it vision or realization of ultimate reality, but you can become one with it. And that is what is called Vijnana state. That Ramakrishna explained to him. And he said that, well, everything is really Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna said that one can realize that. And that is the ultimate of realization. So Narendranath actually did not realize that. And not only that, he actually made fun of that, how actually everything could become Brahman, representative of the ultimate reality. Sri Ramakrishna, naturally, he had that realization, there's no doubt, because he was so advanced, or his ultimate realization was with him. So he knew that, but being a spiritual person, he said that, yes, it is possible for human beings to see God, or realize the presence of God in everything. So ultimately, when Narendranath was not really believing that, he actually touched him. These incarnations of God, they have this special power, as we see that by touching, actually, they can raise the mind to a higher plane. So because of that touch, Narayana actually started feeling, realizing that, yes, everything is really ultimate reality, Brahman. And not only that, he remained in that state, realizing that everything is Brahman for a few days. And ultimately, he was not exactly tired, but it became impossible for him to do his day-to-day activities in that condition. So he again requested Sri Ramakrishna to take away that, what is called, stop that, what is called that feeling or realization. Then Sri Ramakrishna said that, well, yes, I understand your situation, so it will not happen to you again. The point is that it is true that everything is really ultimate reality, and definitely there are many objects by selectively according to a liking. That is the most important part, because to realize God is so difficult that God himself has said that you can think these objects where my manifestations are there, because ultimately manifestations of God is everything. But still, pointedly, according to our mental condition or our association, we can really become selective, and in that way can start and doing our spiritual practice, meditation. So that is the benefit. That means, what is the benefit of these two discourses? that one is by Lord Krishna and another is the prayer of the gods. The benefit is this, that means we can think of God's existence in them, and in that way selectively. That means we cannot really think of all the objects that has been described, because it will be difficult for us, wastage of time also. But because for concentration we need to have some fixed object. For selection of the fixed objects, actually these lists are really very important, and we can utilize that according to our liking, because it is very difficult to concentrate mind. That means mind is always going here and there. But if we can limit our what is called distractions to the objects that has been described, that is also beneficial. So in that way, if we read these scriptures in these two scriptures or these portions of the scriptures in the spirit, then actually we get some real benefit. Otherwise, it will be just utterances of the verses, and then that is also good, but to get some benefit or positive benefit, to think of the existence of God in different objects, that we can figure out from this to one chapter of Bhagavad Gita and this one chapter of the this Devi Mahatma. Om madhuvataritayote madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhi-irno santoshadhihi madhunakto mutosasi madhumat parthivagang rajaha madhudaurastunapita madhumanna vanaspatihi madhumagangastu suryaha madhirgavo bhavantunah. Om madhu madhu madhu. Sweet by the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the earths and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us with the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us with the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us with the shining sun. Sweet unto us with the all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace. Okay, I forgot to mention that next Sunday on July 18th, Swami Shuddhananda will speak on Come to God Anyway. And we shall continue our Raja Yoga on Wednesdays at 7:30. Narada Bhakti Sutra will be continued by Swami Shuddhananda at 6 p.m. on Fridays. And Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna discourse will be continued by me on Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. And after that, of course, towards the end, actually, after the last discourse will be on July 25th. After that, we shall close for summer vacation. And I thank you very much for joining in this Sunday talk. If you have any question, please ask me.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Joel. How are you?
Good, Swamiji.
Thank you,
Maharaj.
Thank you
Pranams.
very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Swamiji.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Okay, have a good day. The day is going to be quite warm. I see it is already 92, and the forecast is it will be 102 to 106 today. So be careful and take care of yourself. Thank you.
Namaskar,
Thank you,
Swamiji.
Swamiji.
Bye.
Pranam.
Namaste.
Thank you, Maharaj. Pranams.